Have you ever seen someone judged before saying a single word? That's exactly what happened to Marcus one quiet Sunday afternoon. The sun was soft over the street when Marcus set up his camera near the old oak tree, trying to capture the golden light for his school project. Across the street, Mr. Thompson watched him through his blinds. The old man had always been suspicious, his mind clouded by the things he thought he knew. When Marcus bent down to pick something from the grass, Mr. Thompson's heart started racing. "He's stealing," he whispered to himself. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his phone and dialed 911. Minutes later, the calm street turned into flashing red and blue. Officer Blake pulled up, hand already resting on his belt. Marcus froze when he saw the car. He'd seen videos like this before, ones that didn't always end well. Mrs. Rivera came out of her house, calling softly, "He's just taking pictures. He's a good boy," but no one listened. Mr. Thompson shouted from his porch, "I saw him trespassing." The tension rose in the air like smoke. Officer Blake asked Marcus to step away from his camera. Marcus's hands trembled as he lifted them slowly. His heart pounded. He knew one wrong move could change everything. The officer reached for his radio, while Mr. Thompson stood taller, proud of what he thought was protecting his neighborhood. But what he didn't know was that the truth was about to twist the story in a way no one expected. If your heart hurts seeing good people judged for nothing, subscribe to Stained Humanity. Your voice can help stories like Marcus's be heard. Marcus stood in silence as the officer's eyes scanned him from head to toe. The camera still lay on the grass, its lens glinting in the sunlight. "What are you doing here, son?" Officer Blake asked, his voice firm but not unkind. Marcus swallowed hard. "Just taking pictures for school, sir." "It's for my photography class." His voice shook slightly, but his eyes stayed steady. Mr. Thompson interrupted, waving his hands. "Don't believe him, officer. I've seen him wandering around before, always near my house. Always looking suspicious." Mrs. Rivera stepped closer, her voice rising with frustration. "He's just a kid. He helps me carry my groceries every week. You're making a mistake." But Mr. Thompson ignored her. He pointed toward Marcus's bag. "Search it. You'll find something, I'm sure." Marcus's heart sank. He knew how this could end. Every second felt heavier, like the air itself was watching him. Officer Blake picked up Marcus's backpack slowly. The neighbors started gathering on porches, whispering. Some took out their phones, recording. Marcus felt the sting of being watched not as a person, but as a threat. He wished his mother Ava was there. She always told him, "Stay calm no matter what. Your peace is your power." The officer opened the bag and froze. Inside was nothing but a camera lens, a notebook, and a small framed photo of Marcus with his mom at a school award ceremony. Mrs. Rivera gasped softly. Mr. Thompson's voice cracked. That doesn't prove anything," he muttered, his face reddening, but the truth had already started to show. Officer Blake's tone softened. "Sir, this young man isn't doing anything wrong. He's working on a school project. You might have misjudged the situation." But Mr. Thompson shook his head angrily. "You don't understand. People like him." He stopped himself mid-sentence as everyone's eyes turned toward him in silence. Marcus finally spoke. "People like me? You mean kids who just want to do something good?" His words hung in the air like a mirror no one wanted to look into. The tension turned to shame, but Mr. Thompson's pride wouldn't let him back down yet. Officer Blake sighed and told Marcus he was free to go, but the damage was already done. His hands still trembled as he packed up his things. Before walking away, he looked at Mr. Thompson and said softly, "You called the cops on me, but you didn't even ask my name." Mrs. Rivera's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "Some people see color before they see kindness." Marcus walked home, his heart heavy, unaware that this was only the beginning, because the truth about who he really was about to change everything. If this moment made your heart ache for Marcus, subscribe to Stained Humanity. Every click helps a real voice rise above the noise of hate. The next morning, the neighborhood buzzed with whispers. Some people pretended nothing had happened, while others secretly replayed the video of the incident on their phones. Marcus stayed inside his house, staring out the window. He couldn't shake the feeling of humiliation. He had done nothing wrong, yet he was treated like a criminal. His mother, Ava, noticed his silence as she prepared to leave for her night shift at the hospital. "What's wrong, baby?" she asked softly. Marcus told her everything, how Mr. Thompson had called the cops, how the officer searched his bag, and how everyone watched like he was guilty before hearing a word. Ava's eyes glistened. "You did nothing wrong," she said firmly. "I've taught you to hold your head high, even when the world looks down on you. But sometimes, the truth takes time to open people's eyes." Later that afternoon, Ava walked out in her nurse's uniform to visit Mrs. Rivera, who had texted her about what happened. On the way, she saw Mr. Thompson in his front yard, fixing his mailbox. He looked away when their eyes met, guilt flickering across his face. But what shocked him was the badge hanging from Ava's neck, a hospital ID with a gold seal that read Chief Nurse, Mercy General Hospital. Mrs. Rivera joined her on the sidewalk and said loudly enough for Mr. Thompson to hear, "You raised that boy right, Ava. He's got more respect and heart than most grown men I know." Mr. Thompson's hand froze. "Chief Nurse," he turned toward her slowly. "You're Marcus's mother?" he asked, his voice unsteady. Ava nodded calmly. "Yes, I am. The same boy you called the cops on yesterday, the same boy who helped save a man's life last month when a car crashed near the park." Mr. Thompson's face went pale. He did what?" Mrs. Rivera nodded. "Marcus gave CPR before the ambulance came. The man lived. It was in the local paper." Ava looked at Mr. Thompson, her eyes steady and sad. "You thought my son was a threat, but you never saw the heart he carries. You judged the color of his skin before you learned the story of his soul." Her words cut deeper than anger ever could. Mr. Thompson's lips trembled. For the first time, he couldn't find an excuse. As Ava walked away, Marcus stepped outside with his camera in hand. He didn't say a word, but the sight of that same camera, the one that had caused all this, made Mr. Thompson's chest ache with shame. He finally whispered to himself, "Maybe I'm the one who needs to change what I see." If you believe the truth always finds its way through hate, subscribe to Stained Humanity. Every subscriber stands for someone who's been wrongly judged days past, but the tension still hung in the air like a shadow that refused to fade. Marcus went back to his school routine, quieter than before, his camera always with him, but his spark dimmed. He still loved capturing beauty, the way sunlight hit the leaves, or how rain made the pavement shine. But now, every time he lifted the lens, he wondered if people would see him as an artist or as a threat again. Mr. Thompson, however, could not sleep. Each night, the image of Marcus's frightened eyes haunted him. He had replayed the scene 100 times in his mind, the call, the accusation, the boy's trembling hands. For years he had told himself he was a good man, that his fears were just being careful. But now he saw what those fears had done. They had hurt someone innocent. One morning, Mr. Thompson walked across the street, holding something in his hand, an old framed photo of his own son, who had died in service years ago. He found Marcus sitting on the porch, adjusting his camera lens. "Marcus," he said softly. The boy looked up, cautious but polite. "I owe you an apology. What I did was wrong. I thought I was protecting this neighborhood, but I was only protecting my ignorance." Marcus didn't speak right away. The silence was heavy, but not cold. Mr. Thompson continued, his voice shaking. "When I lost my son, I built walls instead of bridges. I thought anyone who didn't look like me was a danger. I was wrong. You remind me of him, patient, kind, trying to do good in a world that doesn't always understand you." Marcus looked down at the man's trembling hands holding the photo. "You didn't have to call the cops to talk to me," he said quietly. "You could have just asked what I was doing." "I know," Mr. Thompson whispered, "and I'll spend the rest of my days trying to be better than that moment." He then placed something beside Marcus, a small wooden box. Inside was a new camera lens. "I heard yours broke that day," he said. "I wanted to make it right." Tears welled in Marcus's eyes, not because of the gift, but because someone who once saw him as a threat was now trying to see him as human. "Thank you," he said softly. "I forgive you." Mrs. Rivera watched from her porch, smiling through tears. Ava returned home from the hospital that evening, and when Marcus told her what happened, she hugged him tight. "You see," she whispered, "sometimes hate melts when faced with truth and courage." From that day on, Mr. Thompson often joined Marcus and Mrs. Rivera for coffee on the porch. He even asked Marcus to teach him how to use a camera to see the world through a new lens. Because sometimes healing doesn't start with forgetting the past, it starts when we decide to face it and change the story for good. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Stained Humanity. Together, we can make sure stories like Marcus's aren't just heard, they're remembered.